Right, here we are on Karen's plot. As you can see, the pear tree is pretty well laden. The apple tree's got some on. That's a russet apple, a heritage variety. Not so many fruit on it this year, but we're going to get them down. You can see I've got the ladders up, and I think this is going to be pear cider and maybe apple cider. We've got so many apples and pears, I don't think you can do much else with them. But I'll show you actual tree. You can see pears up there. You can see them all over here. Come to the apples. So there's not an awful lot, but they're there. So we'll get on with that. Right, everybody. The last bit of video might have cut off a bit prematurely. I ran out of memory on my card. But that was yesterday. This is today. These are all these pears. There might be still some on the tree, but I didn't have room to process them. They spent 4 days in my daughter's freezer, frozen. When they got back here, they were, as we joked amongst ourselves, weaponised. When you could throw them at each other and they sounded like lignum vitae bowls hitting each other. They were really, really hard. Now, I do frost now. There's a negative side to doing this. You get a lot of condensation around them as well. So if you look, these are quite soft now. So really intended to squeeze them out and make pear cider. And I might then have to get the rest off the tree. I'm going to squeeze them out using this bad boy that Pauline bought me for Christmas. But in passing, you may just be interested. As you can see, there's bags of fruit all over the place. It's this time of year. Those are golden, yellow courgettes, globe type. Well, we've got people run away when they see us coming with those now. Those are more damsons. And there's a negative side to all this. We get a lot of fruit flies, which Pauline gets very upset about. Now, my eldest daughter told me something, and we're trying it, and it appears to work. And here it is. And you can see the fruit flies dead in the bottom. You can see the fruit flies on the top as they go in. This is cider vinegar with a couple of drops of washing up liquid in. It seems to attract them, and as you can see at the bottom there, there's quite a lot of them already dead, and the numbers reducing drastically. So there's a tip for getting rid of fruit flies in your house. Cider vinegar with a couple of drops of washing up liquid. Right, I'm going to get on with it now, and we'll show you how to see how we go. I've never done this before. This is an experiment, so you're learning as I'm learning. Let's get watching. Right, here we are. What comes with this is this rather large meshy muslin bag, which I'm going to put in there. I'm going to start loading these quite soft pears into it now. They are very soft. Although I must confess, some in the middle still look like they've got frost on them, as if they've not fully defrosted. Might be a note to self in future. Do smaller batches, defrost them in smaller batches, but we'll see how it goes. So you'll give me a minute while I load this up. And then we'll get down to pear squeezing. They're very, very soft now. Originally, like most pears, it was very hard. So the end result of that is that I am getting what I wanted. I think that these can now really stand a chance of getting the juice out of this fruit. I hope I can get them all done today. I hope the ones in the middle are not too... Oh, they're not too hard. I think they'll they'll squash as well. Let's move in a bit. I think maybe I need to think again. Right, I've gone to plan B, because that bag, there's no proper instructions, and the bag seems to force all the pears to one side, so I don't really know the best way to use that, so I'm going to try it without them and strain them afterwards. It also makes it a little less fiddly for me. I can pick them up, and so we'll see what we get. And what I intend to do is squeeze them all and then gently warm the juice up, just enough to sterilise it. After warming it and sterilising it, the next thing will be to check the specific gravity. And then, if the gravity is a bit low, I might add a little bit of brewing sugar to bring it up to about 5.5%, which should be fairly standard for a cider or a perry. I'll be glad to get these out of the kitchen actually. They're cluttering the place up, something chronic, but what do you do at this time of year? As I say, I've still got a fair few on the tree. In a minute I'll show you a bit of a video I did previously showing the tree, so you get a concept of how many it is. They're not pretty pears, they're all different sizes. And a good friend of mine who was on the allotments once said that tree only produces hard bullets. Well, I tend to think he was a bit on the wrong side. I think it's only hard bullets if you don't let them ripen. Pears ripen off the tree. So I hope we get something. And if we get a good cider or a perry, that'll be well worthwhile. How much we'll get, I've no idea, but look at those. Look at those. Look at the way it squeezes. It's, you know, it's quite soft. Obviously the pulp will have to be got rid of later. Unfortunately I don't have any pigs, so I can't recycle that through a pig. Right, I'll take some out of this one because those are getting a bit firm now. I'll let them across a bit while I'm doing this. I mean, as you can see, we've got about 8 to 10 gallons of pears. And just putting them in here, you may not be, well, you won't be able to see it at the present moment, there is actually juice dripping off into this sterilised bowl I have at the bottom. So, you know, it's starting. So next thing to do is we put those on top, give it a bit of press down. Well, you can probably see and hear the pear juice already just by me putting my weight on it. I need to do it gently or else it might squirt out the sides. Put a bit more on, a few more pears in. I think I'm going to have to do at least 2 pressings here. But if I can get away with 2 pressings, that's a lot less work than I've done in past years for a fraction the amount of fruit. So I'm going to have to show Pauline this in a minute just to say thank you. Right, back to it again. And we'll put those across there that way. I'm learning, so I think there'll be a few other changes as we go along. This screws on. that turning, making sure I don't bash the oven. We've got a steady stream of juice coming off here. Really nice steady stream. Ooh, a really good flow there. This looks like it's one experiment that's going to work well. We've got a bit of pulp coming through, but I'll strain that off afterwards. Doesn't do any harm, does it? I will soon have to get another container to transfer this into. Ooh, back's aching a little. I think I'll just smash some more pears into there and keep putting them on top until I've got. Right, oh, bending doesn't do my back any good. But the only other alternative people say is put them through a food processor. It's been a lot of work putting that lot through a food processor. The thing I thought might have worked, do you remember the old fish and chip shops? You think when they used to have the hand machine for making the chips out of potatoes, you put a potato in and squeeze it and you got chipped potato out. That's the other thing that I thought might have worked initially. But this seems a lot easier if you've got the freezer capacity. Fortunately, our Kathy, good girl that she is, had a little bit of spare space, which I managed to, well, she gladly let me use. And we'll see where we go with that. Right, off we go, some more on. Theoretically, the pulp that's left over I should take back to the allotment, to the to the compost, but I don't really bother because it's going to be well, hopefully it'll be a relatively dry set of stuff, so it might be doable. Now that bucket's about a third full. In a minute, when I put this on the system, I'll cut a few bits out so that you're not stood there watching duplications of everything. But, oops. There we are. I think we're getting the final dregs out of this now. These are all the pears that are in those two boxes are either in that bucket, this, or concentrated as a pulp into that much of this cylinder, which is maybe 10-inch diameter and 14 inches long at maximum. And while I can still apply pressure, the amount of pressure I'm having to apply to get anything more out of it, it's becoming significant. And there's not an awful lot more juice coming out for that time and pressure, so I think it's approaching the end. So I'm going to tidy this up, get it all off, and then we'll get you to the next stage. Right, I've just tidied up a bit so I can get on with it. Now I've got what looks to be approximately 19 litres of pear juice. Before I do anything more with it, I just want to have an idea what its specific gravity is, how much alcohol is in it. So I'm going to put some in this test jar, and I'm just going to put it through a sieve just to take some of the... I'm not doing a very good job of that, am I? Trying to get it so that I don't have any bits of pulp in it, that's better. Right, that'll do. Just tidy up my mess. I put it on there just so you the viewer could see better. And what I have here is a beer thermometer, and it's measured in, it shows in various, so it shows your alcohol percentage, it shows your specific gravity, etc. And we can use either of them, any of them, but I'll put it in there, see where it floats. Let's turn it round so we can see the alcohol percentage. Well, according to that, if that ferments out as a dry, I'll have 6% alcohol in that without adding anything, so I'm perfectly happy with that. I'm going to leave it at that and we'll commence with the rest of it, so back in a second. Right, I'm taking this pear juice in batches and putting it in a pan and get it hot. I'm not boiling it, just hot enough to kill any bacteria or wild yeasts. I know they don't do it in traditional cider, but this is the first time I don't want to risk losing it. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to transfer it to this other brewing bucket. I'm going to sterilise the bucket, the airlock which you need, and the lid by pouring a large kettle of freshly boiled water, completely boiling over all over it, down the sides, leaving it in the bottom, rinsing it around, and as I get rid of it, I'll gradually make sure the hot water stays in contact with each side of the bucket for a significant period of time till you can feel it through it and it's sterilised it. That does it just as well as a lot of the sterilising solutions. When you get hot water and you keep it in contact with the sides long enough, it works for me. I've never had any problems. I do use sterilising solution, but not all the time. So I'm going to pour this in the sink now, but first I'm going to get near the lip and I'm going to continue. I'm going to rotate this bucket round so that the water is in contact with the sides and I can feel the heat through the plastic. That tells me it's doing it right. And there we are. That's ready for this when it's done. So right, this is the first batch. I'm warming it up, and just the temperature to kill wild yeast is generally about 45 degrees centigrade. So what I'm using, I've got this meat thermometer for the oven, and I've got that on. I don't want to heat it up too much. It's actually 67 degrees now, so that's done. Just turn that off, and I will put that into this second bucket, the one I've just sterilised, and get on with the rest of it. Right folks, that's it, last one, up to 46, 47 degrees in there. Now it's too hot for yeast, it'll kill my yeast, which is, so lid with airlock, with water in the airlock, and we'll clamp that down nice and tight and leave it till the temperature is suitable for yeast. And now we'll get some yeast and some yeast nutrient in it, and that'll do it. Hi everybody, 24 hours later, just to let that warm pear juice chill, cool that down to a temperature suitable for fermentation, and I'm just going to add a specific cider yeast. All you do is sprinkle it on the top. You can add a yeast nutrient as well. I can't find any, but it's not absolutely necessary. So we'll leave that now, covered up with the airlock on, and we'll come back when it's bubbling away. I'll show you that in a minute. Bye. Right. There we are, bubbling away like a good one through the airlock. We'll just leave this now until it stops bubbling. I'll show you what it looks like inside. You can see the fermentation taking place. You can see all the yeast on the surface. Don't know how long it'll take, but I'll do a little bit of a video when it's finished.